Good morning, everyone. We are Friday, the 22nd of August 2025. It's coming up to around about 6:30 in the morning. Just woken up to a bunch of trails in the morning. These are decent trails we're seeing. I'm pointing the camera up to here. We can see there's more trails. And there's one big one right here. Okay, good start to the morning. Well, depends on where you treat the situation really, but so my estimation that this most probably will clear. It's not covering the whole entire sky, the trails, it's just a certain amount of area. So I'm going to pop back in a bit and we'll have a look to see if there's any more trails forming. Okay, what can we learn from this morning so far? The trails have gone off in the distance. Okay, those are the big ones we just saw a minute ago. But all in all, so far, it's looking like small trails. Very recurring thing I keep seeing. Obviously, we've got our big trail along here, but they're very faint. They're very faint. Look at it. Okay. So let's bring up the scenario. Is it going to block out the sun? No, it's not. It's not going to block out the sun. And it's days like this where you go, oh, they're attempting to spray for geoengineering purposes. People are not really thinking the overall outcome. What is the final solution or conclusion for these trails? And the amount of parts I've done, 30 parts of them, they've done really nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, there we go. Let's wait for some aircraft to fly over. Also, we have a look here. We do have this like white haze, and I keep showing this over and over again, that the fact this white haze is like a big blanket. Now, trail community, I mean, people in that community would say that's something to do with trails being spread out, but to be honest, I've got plenty of footage, and I mean plenty of footage, with this white haze just forming naturally. Okay, so again, there's a sign there is moisture in the atmosphere. There is one aircraft flying at the moment. Should give off a persistent trail, hopefully. So we'll pop back in a bit and see what happens. Some trails do look like what kind of looks like cirrocumulus. It goes a bit bubbly, but this one is actually turned into like a proper cirrus. Now look, you see that one all the way along there, and we get to that there. There you go. And here is a cirrus. There's some cirrus you can see. So again, I think people do misidentify what they've actually seen in the sky. But all the trails have the same consistency. If you saw a massive, big, thick trail going across the sky, you'd be like, okay, what's going on here then? But at the moment, it's thin, wispy trails, the same consistency. Is that something to do with the atmospheric conditions? Could well be. But I'm not saying this is going to be sprayed on purpose, because it's not blocking out the sun so far in the morning. So yeah, anyway, time will tell. I'm rambling. This aircraft just made this very faint trail, and if we have a look around our surroundings before we track that aircraft, these are not big, thick trails. They all have the same consistency. So for me, that is a sign that it's something to do with the atmospheric conditions. It's got to be. Why are all these planes doing exactly the same thing? I mean, here's a scenario. They don't want to show their true colours of spraying the skies too much, so they just do it in small little bursts. Well, how is that supposed to affect the climate? I'd be damned to say that whether or not this is actually here to poison me. X marks the spot, if you can see that. But yeah, they all have the same consistency, every single one. But anyway, I want to go track that aircraft. This is the aircraft right here. It's going from Cork to London. Obviously, it's descending because it's travelling to London and that destination, so it was a lot higher than 24,000 feet. As you can see, it's descending right here. So yeah, it's a Ryanair flight that created that very small trail. Oh, I think we've got another one coming. Right, we've got an aircraft. Let's see what you're doing, mate. Let's zoom all the way. Yeah, that's maximum. Because the reason why I zoom in is because I want to see whether or not we can see it coming from a nozzle or the engine. Now we know it's coming from the engine because there's a slight gap in between the engine and the trail being formed. If it was chemicals or the spraying turned on, you should see it coming straight out the nozzle. And in this case, you don't. You see it coming from the engine because you've got a slight gap. And you could say, well, maybe the chemicals is always, again, it's just scenarios. It's trying to defend your point. It's like what you're saying with me as well. But at the same time, it's like, how does condensation trails form? Well, first of all, it's the hot air condensing with the cold atmosphere, and it takes a few seconds, about a second, for it to actually form. And this is what you're seeing now, if we get the camera still. And as you can see here, you've got the engine with a gap forming a trail. So that's saying it's coming from the engine. So that's obviously to do with condensation. So is it giving off a actual persistent trail? Let's have a look. It is slightly. Okay, so it's coming from the engine and not a spray nozzle. Because if it was a spray nozzle, you should see it coming straight out of the nozzle itself. But it's not. So this is coming from the engine. Oh, very weak. And it did that. Very, very weak trail. So it's pretty pointless for it to travel thousands of miles just to do that. Okay, let's track this aircraft. I got another one now. Okay, let's have a little look. This aircraft is Aer Lingus, Aer Lingus, or whatever it's called, and it's got Lingus in it. So it's travelling at 37,000 feet, and it's travelling from Dublin to this place here, Naples. Yeah, sorry, the sun's in the eyes. Yeah, it's Naples. So yeah, there we go, and it's travelling at 37,000 feet, which is technically the right altitude for trails to be formed. Man, so the other craft that is travelling, I think it might be that one actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's the one there. Yeah, I'll have a little look at the moment. It's just, yeah, that's it. So that's travelling at 36,000 feet. Strange is not giving off a persistent trail. Actually, you can see it cross-threading at the moment. Right, watch this. There you go. So that's going to Naples, and that's going to somewhere else, which I forgot. So there we go. So the tracker is right. In it, mate. X marks the spot. Yeah, they go out. But let's just do an overall look at the sky at the moment, and let's look at the trails, because we do have a bit of a traily morning, but they're very faint. None of these trails are doing its job to block the sun. That sounded a bit posh then, didn't I? Posh twat, shut up. So yeah, same consistent trails, very weak, very thin, which is another reoccurring thing I keep seeing in the morning, and I've got tons of footage of that. My prediction today is that this is going to clear, and you might have some odd trails popping in and out. I'm going to keep my eyes to the skies, and it might get quite persistent, but normally if it's like this, you see it first thing in the morning. Oh, hello, darling. The cat scared the crap out of me. So yeah, there we go. Hello, darling. Did you do that with a cat? He wants attention. Hold on, darling. Let me just film this. Okay, forget about it. It's gone. Right, as we always do, we check the humidity when we've got days like this. Now, it looks like, if we focus on this area here, and the base level that I've taken out is 30,000 feet. So it seems to be between 50 and 60, which is a bit unusual for humidity levels to be that low for persistent trails to form. Now, humidity works in like different ways, isn't it? It's like pockets of moisture in the atmosphere. So in technical terms, trails shouldn't be forming if the humidity is that low. Now, looking at the colour, I think it's run about between 60 and 80%. and not 90, 100%. Alright. So let's see what happens for the rest of the morning. I have returned once again. Shut up, Nick. Yeah, so what we've got here so far, looking a little bit clearer, isn't it? We've got a little bit of a white haze over there. There is this plane giving off a persistent trail, but all in all, it's looking okay, pretty good. The sun is rising, beautiful. It's supposed to be nice this week. The trails will not affect my outcome of today because I know for a fact it's not going to dim the sun. Oh look, we got another one. Where are you to, mate? Where are you to? Oh, there it is. Where is it? Am I gone blind? I think I've gone blind. Where the bloody hell is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, what an idiot. Sorry, the sun's shining. I can't really see properly. I think, yeah, there it is. There it is. Look at that. There it is. So, what have we learned so far in the morning? Sorry, I'm trying to keep the camera still. There we go. So, what have we learned so far in the morning? Well, the trails being persisted in the sky is very short, very thin. We've seen this before in the morning and sometimes throughout the day, and especially in the evening as well. Especially in the morning. It's not really there to dim the sun, isn't it? Because it's very, very small. It's very, very faint. Okay, so we can rule that out for sure. I need to ask myself this. All the trails have the same consistency, the same density. So every single aircraft that has travelled in this area that's give off the same trail, consistent trail, is that a coincidence that it's just given off the same trails? Or is it something to do with the atmosphere? Because bear in mind, the humidity that I tracked was quite low, but it's too low for trails to form, as it's, from my estimation from the app, it is between 50 and 60%, but the trails needs to be forming. But for a trail to form, according to mainstream science, it needs to be above 90%. But again, pockets of moisture, of humidity, is kind of hard to track because it does flow. So let's think about this from the mainstream aspect. So they're saying for trails to form, the humidity needs to be above 90, well, between 90 and 100%. Some say 60 to 70% or thereof, okay? So we're looking at that base level. The humidity that I tracked was around about 50 to 60% between those percentage. In one way, the trails are forming very faint, maybe because there's not enough humidity and moisture in the atmosphere. Because remember, that's what they're saying that's making trails form. It's like pockets of moisture in the atmosphere. That's making this, well, sorry, I should say pockets of humidity that's been layered in the atmosphere. So when a plane flies through it and it hits that pockets of humidity, that's what's making the trails persist. And in one way you could say, well, that's kind of accurate because the trails are very faint. If it was 100%, you'll have big, thick trails, okay, depending on how the humidity spreads. So I guess that is one conclusion. That is one conclusion. But someone in the chemtrail community say, no, this has been sprayed on purpose to block the sun. Well, it's not, trust me on that one, it's not going to block the sun out. Oh my God, it's goldfinch. Is that goldfinch or is it blue tit? Oh my God, how sweet. Oh, amazing. Goldfinch. Oh, that's nice to see. I've been looking for them for like a number of years and they haven't even popped in. Okay, chemtrails, back to chemtrails, or trails in the sky. So the trails are not there to dim the sun. That's a big trail. See, that's when it's spread out. Look how thin it is. See what I mean, mate? Right, we'll pop back in a bit and see what the rest of the day is. But my prediction is we're going to have some very, very faint trails for the remainder of the day. Very, very faint. we'll see what happens. Exciting. Earlier this morning we had a load of trails in that area over there that looked quite decent. Then my area around here, it became quite faint. We can kind of see that now still. Look, very small, very faint trails. A very reoccurring thing. Look, see a little small one up there. So yeah, I think through my analysis of the trails for the past 4 years, mapping out what sort of trails are forming, how consistent they are throughout the day, dependent on the quality of the trail itself. So I'm saying that we're going to have some very small, faint trails. I think I said that about many times on this. Biplane. Right, anyway. What is the sky like? What did I say? Thin, wispy trails. UAP come across right there. Joking, it's a bird. You can tell how bored I am. So I'm going to keep these videos short, and we'll do an overall conclusion when we analyse the time-lapse video, because that is going to give us an honest perspective of what these trails are doing. Yes, bear in mind I keep saying that I'm only observing a very small portion of the atmosphere of the sky, but nevertheless we can still map out through the satellite what these trails would be doing. So there we go, thin wispy trails. You can see some over there, look at that. Pop back in a bit. See what I mean? Thin, wispy trails. Hence what we're seeing here. So we're still early, we'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be like this. Small trails, not really going to do anything. It's just gone past 9 o'clock in the morning. And we have the very short trails. But if you have a look, it starts to get a bit thicker. So maybe, oh look, perfect. Let's have a look, can I actually see that in motion? Yes, the sun is in my eyes, but I shall do my best to clock onto this plane itself. Let's zoom in a bit more, because it's just given off a trail, do or not. There we go. I think that might be a Ryanair flight. Not too sure. Is it going to give off another trail? No, it's not. Okay, but nevertheless, it's done that. Well, that one there. There we go. So, overall, the trails are in one immediate area. They're starting to get a bit thicker. So that is a sign that humidity is rising. Maybe. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see in a minute. But if I just do a overall spin around, it's pretty much clear. A few little trail over there, but all in all, it's just this area right here. So let's track that aircraft. Right, so that aircraft that went past, there was actually one before that as well. Or is it actually? Not too sure. So this aircraft here is travelling to London. What's interesting about this is travelling at 21,000 feet. So it was a lot lower not too long ago than 30,000 feet. Or maybe it was this aircraft here. It's kind of hard to tell really. But in regards of the plane itself, you can see the blue underbelly and the actual engines are blue. So it's definitely this flight. And I know the flight tracker is never wrong. And it's going from Montreal to London. And here we have it. It's mostly those two trails we're looking at here. But they are getting slightly thicker. Slightly thicker. but it makes no sense because the humidity is still low, about 20 to 30% lower than it actually should. Actually, when you technically look at it, it's actually 50% lower than it actually should. Right, returned. It's just gone past 9:15. Sorry, 10:15, I should say. And so far, it is going clear sky. Said it would be, with a few bits of trails. Said it would be. There you go. Got one trail forming now, but it's very, very faint. So let's go on Chemtrail Facebook page and have a look at the people collectively losing their shit because they see a couple of trails in the sky. Ready? Let's do it. Right, it's just gone past 10 o'clock in the morning, and what can we observe so far? Remember that white haze that was pretty much in certain places? Well, it was over here and it went over here. Well, look at it now, it's covered. It'd be interesting to see what the time lapse actually shows. But yes, this white haze is starting to pierce the landscape, the skyline I should say. So yeah, there you go. Maybe the moisture has gone, or the humidity has gone a bit more higher. Possibly. I'll check in a minute. But all in all, can we see any trails? No, we can't. Right, coming up to 12 o'clock. What do we have in the sky? That white haze is over there. It's now gone in the distance. One trail, big puffy cloud, another puffy cloud, bit of cirrus with a bit of the trail right there. So there we go. Oh, if you look at that cloud there, it's got like a almost like another cloud around it, which is interesting. So there we go. Remember, every time you see cirrus, you can see trails. I am back at the golf course. It is lunchtime and I'm out and about to have a bit more of a bird's eye view, a landscape view of the sky itself. So let's turn the camera around. Let's have a look. Right, what do we have in the sky? Well, first things first, look at the grass. I would have to admit, the last time I've seen grass like this must have been like 3 years ago. It was like 2022, I think it was. We had this sort of heat wave and the grass was pretty much like this. But anyway, the skies. See what I mean? Faint trails, very, very faint. Let's go back a bit so you can see a better view. Yeah, very, very faint trails. And I did say that, didn't it? You know, it seems to be a very reoccurring thing. So in the morning, you see something like that, you're going to get trails like that, even faint ones you can see in the background there and over there as well. So there we go, bit more of a bird's eye view. It's extremely well, it's not extremely cloudy, puffy clouds with pockets of trails, and that's it really. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, as we are the 22nd, I'm going to put the date on there so you can see. The summer of 2025 in the UK, it's been alright. It's been alright so far, I have to admit. We barely had any rain, hence why the bloody grass is all brown. But yeah, it's been a good summer, I have to admit. And this is a person that spends his days. I'm a gardener by trade, so I'm always outside, looking up in the sky, checking on the weather. We barely had any rain in a couple of months, I would say. So yeah, so far summer 2025, pretty good. Right, it's coming up to 1:30. So far the sky is looking pretty clear. We've got a couple of clouds, which is to be expected. And look, a couple of trails. Small, faint and thin. It did say that, didn't it? Not a lot of trails, but you know, you get the idea. Just a couple. There we go. Oh, check this out. Looking good, isn't it? Not a lot of trails. It's been a mixed bag today. But yeah. Well, we've just gone past 4 o'clock. And it's been a pretty good day. Right, I am back. It's coming up to 8:30 in the evening. It's been a few hours because, to be honest, it looked quite nice. I think there was a couple of small trails. So as we end today, which is Friday the 22nd of August 2025, although you got a bit of faintness over there, it's been alright. A bit traily this morning, but I think my prediction was right that we might have had a few persistent trails, only a few, slight thin, a little bit whispery, maybe. No, I think thin, I'm going to say, because it's time to check out the time lapse. Once again, let's have a look at the time lapse for the 22nd of August 2025. Now, my prediction was that the fact we might see some trails, very small trails, pretty much what we're seeing right here for the remainder of the day. That was just a prediction. And let's have a look so far what we got. Made it a bit bigger. Oh, hold on. No. We've got to do that. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Now, if we have a look, we see these trails forming first thing in the morning. I thought, okay, right, there's a sign, probably moisture, or they're attempting to spray. So what I'm going to be doing is tracking the trails to see whether or not they are going to be persisted throughout the day. And that was my prediction. But they're going to be very faint and small. And this is pretty much what you're seeing here. Okay. They're small and faint and are not really doing anything. Okay. It's there to block the sun out. That is my main conclusion. It's there to block the sun. And as you can see, we've got a bit of this cloud just forms out of nowhere. Okay, so this is a natural cloud, all right? And that is a sign that there is moisture in the atmosphere. And this is what is called cirrocumulus, I believe. Okay, got one trail there, a few of them there. Okay, I've just slowed it down just slightly because there were a bunch of trails that were forming right here. This is what I mean by the consistency of the trails. They're not that big. Look, there's one there, you see? Very, very faint. I believe that might be a cirrus right there. But you can see they're starting to appear throughout the day, but they're very small. They're very faint. That's that white haze. Yeah, I can see it more better now. More bubbly cloud, you can see it. In fact, that's what makes the holes, like puncture holes out of the clouds. I didn't see anything that day, but you can see these trails are very much a mixed bag, very small, and in some cases very faint. Now, they will get thicker if you do have this mass amount of cloud here, but so far, it's looking pretty dire, to be honest. So yes, they are appearing throughout the day. I think this is around about 1 o'clock, I think, due to the position of the sun. Probably a bit later than that, I think. So this is the cumulus cloud, which is the big puffy clouds, what we're seeing here. Okay, now it's coming into the evening. And so far, no trails in the evening. Okay, well, obviously I was wrong on that part because it was going to be persisted throughout the day in some cases. Now, this is the evening now, which you kind of, okay, you're starting to see some cloud and some trails starting to form. And again, that is another reoccurring thing is trails in the evening.
And it did happen. Now, this is the other thing, guys, you've got to pay attention to. Look at the time lapse. It's clear sky to a certain degree, but then you get this white haze starting to form. And in that white haze, in the same altitude, you get trails, very faint trails start to form. All right. So that is an indication that it could be something natural. Just saying. Again, you can see the trails are very faint, and I can't contribute everything here to do with the spraying of the skies, because you would see line after line after line after line, and you're not seeing that. Look, this is what you're seeing. Very small, faint, very, very faint trails. Again, typical example right here. Not doing anything. Right into nighttime. Right, before I end, let's have a look at the satellite that day. So this is the 22nd of August. Let's do it from, well, I've done it from this time period because it's dark at the moment. It will get light. And let's have a look. And we want to focus on this area here. I'm going to zoom out just slightly so you just get a better perspective of where this cloud is actually coming through. Okay, let's have a look. So first thing in the morning, we start to see the trails. Look, I can just see them right there. There's some in the distance right there. But if you have a look at the overall perspective, look at that hurricane. Look, it's not big enough to really make any attempt to block the sun out. You know, it's a very, very small part, unless you're just specifically talking about one city. Okay, so right, your attention right here. Let's have a look. So you can see these trails are not really blocking out the sun, isn't it? And that's that altocumulus that started to appear. And this is about 3 o'clock now. So it's just in the morning I want to have a look at, because these trails, let's go back to 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's have a look. Okay, it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Look, it's not doing anything. Look. See what I mean? You understand my perspective from this. People need to really analyze what they're actually seeing in the sky and whether or not it's going to make any attempt to dim the sun. And this is what we do here on the Cosmic Twilight and Investigate with Nick. So there we have it. Did the trails block out the sun on the 22nd of August, 2025? No, it didn't. It did look like first thing in the morning it would do such thing, but like I said, guys, I've been doing this for over 4 years now, and I get to understand the skies and especially what these trails are doing. Now, if you get trails like this, small, faint, and medium trails, you will get that for the remainder of the day. If the clouds started to change into something a bit more thicker, like this white haze, then the trails might get a bit thicker. It really depends on the atmospheric conditions. Just saying, it's got to be said.
Hey, a camera change. But anyway, I am not a debunker. This is not my purpose of doing these trail analysis videos. It's just to have a realistic perspective on what we're seeing in the sky. So catch me next time on the Cosmic Twilight on YouTube and Investigate with Nick on Rumble. I shall see you very soon.